All right, Texas Barbecue. Here we are. Today we're at Chef's Barbecue, and I want to tell you, the young man sitting in front of me, I don't know how old he is, but he's young to me, but he has just been really impressing me over the last few weeks and months with his sausage. Some of us, probably some of you also know him as Sausage Sam, but his real name is Sam Mitchell, and I want to tell you, he is really doing a great job. I just can't get over the sausage that he's cooking. So let's try to all remember Sausage Sam, and you guys come out and see him. So, Sam, how you doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good, Derek. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So how was the sausage business today?
It was pretty good. We had a few tubs today to throw on the pit. So.
Okay. About how many links do y'all try to stuff and smoke a week?
Well, typically we do 40 pounds per tub, and we do at least maybe 3 tubs of mild, 2 tubs of our JC, and on 1 tub of our 2 specialty sausages right now, a poblano and pepper jack, and a Oaxaca.
Okay. RJC?
It is jalapeno and cheese.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew what you were talking about there, especially me, RJC. Yeah, I knew. Okay, I tell you what. Now, you've had a pretty diverse upbringing, probably in the Czech and maybe some German background. Let me ask you a question on family and heritage. Barbecue often runs deep in families. How did your family background and heritage influence the way you approach food and sausage making today?
Of course. Well, my dad started back in the 1980s. I know it's not a long lineage on my dad's side, but he started in the 80s at a little place called Nemecheks in West, and then he later went to TSTI, and then once he graduated, went to Hamilton at Peterson Natural Farms, and after that, it was back in the day whenever Walmart actually had a solid meat market, before they started doing everything pre-processed.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he worked at a little place called Garrick's, and that's where I come into the picture, of course. Now, on my mom's side, my family's been cooking for generations on that side, whether it's, forced meats or charcuterie, as some people would say, butchery. They've been doing it for generations. Now, I came into the picture, and I grew up in Garrick's Old Smokehouse in West Texas, and we did a little bit of everything.
Now, Garrett's Old Smokehouse, tell me a little more about that.
Well, we were more or less, I won't say we, but David's old place was just good old school Czech style food, just like Nemecheks did. We did Intranica, and of course we did deer processing during the winter months as well.
Okay. Now, you did a lot of that yourself, right?
Well, it came to the time to where go see what your dad does for a living, and that's what he did. So
Cool.
I saw everything from, of course, the breaking down of all, sorts of animals, as well as, turning it from, say, just regular meat to sausage to jerkies to Intranica and other specialty things like that.
Okay. Well, that kind of ties into my next question. So I'll just ask, how early was that for you?
That was right around when I was 8 years old.
Okay, so that's a pretty good, pretty early childhood memory right there, and that was the next question about early food memories. Do you have any more that were maybe earlier? Or?
Well, no, that's pretty much it about that.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about your work history before people knew you as Sausage Sam. What was your professional path, and what it looked like? Which experiences most prepared you for this craft right here?
Well, most certainly, I started out at Slovacek's, and my dad never wanted me to go into the meat profession. Now,
He wanted you to not be a doctor and a lawyer, though, either, did they?
No, he didn't. He wanted me to follow my passion, and so what I did was I went to TSTC for culinary arts.
Oh, cool.
After I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And of course, COVID hit, and I stayed at Slovacek's for, I want to say right around 4 years. And well, after I was done with my schooling at Slovacek's, not schooling at Slovacek's, but TSTC.
Yeah.
I went to Guest Family Barbecue. I was probably right around halfway through most of my college, and that was my big introduction to barbecue, and that's whenever I learned that crafting sausage was a high trade and high demand in the barbecue field. Now, of course, I worked there for roughly a year and a half, I would say. Then, after that, I wanted to get away from barbecue. I was still in school at the time, and I started working at a place called Pivovar as a baker. I like baking, so of course it kind of fit in, and I was getting back with my community. And then, later down the road, I ended up making sausage for them, and then a buddy of mine called me up one day and said, "Hey, I got a opportunity to open up Terry Black's in Waco. Would you be interested in joining me?" And I said, "Sure." As they say, the rest is history. That's whenever I became Sausage Sam.
All right. Well, you've got a pretty good diverse culinary background, I guess you would say. So now when you were at Terry Black's, is there any brisket smoking involved in all this? Do you have any training in that?
I do. Of course, back at Guess, that was, a smaller business, and of course you do a little bit of everything. Whether
Right.
it's, you start out making sausage, then you learn how to trim briskets, then you learn how to smoke everything, then you do everything, kind of go along with the flow.
All right. Well, let's see here. Now, learning the craft, I've got all these questions I wanted to ask you. Did you come up through formal training, which you just told us you went to culinary arts? Your mentor, do you have a good mentor? Maybe I'm gonna guess that your dad was probably one.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any more?
Well, I don't really have too many mentors that I can recall of, that kept pushing me. But my friend Troy, of course, he kept pushing me in the culinary field, whether we were working at Guess or we were working at Pivovar. He always kind of pushed me to do better and, look at things in a different light. So I definitely say my friend Troy.
Where is Pivo Bar at?
It's in Waco.
It
It's
is
right
in
next
Waco.
right next to Magnolia.
Okay. Well, now that you say that, yes, I remember exactly. All right. Well, so your foundation, you would say, of course, your passion probably came from when you were 8 years old and you lived through some of that. Your foundation, would you say, would be your culinary arts and probably Slovakics? Slovakics, I'll try to say it correctly. This little Czech boy has trouble saying it sometimes.
It's okay. We used to get asked the question, is it Slovakics or Slovakics? It's both.
I understand. All right. For your ability to build flavor when creating a sausage, how do you think through seasoning, balance, and texture, or how do you think through all that for seasoning, balance, and texture whenever you, from start to finish?
Well, I usually start with, of course, the base. Then I'll move into, okay, well, what region are we doing? Are we doing Southwest? Are we going to be doing more traditional? Are we going to have, a meat market style? And that's kind of where my train of thought goes. Now, if I'm doing something spectacular or something, extraordinary, then I have to kind of revisit that and think about it a little bit different because, some extraordinary things, like the peach cobbler sausage, which we haven't made yet, but it's more of less salt, more sugar, obviously with the peaches and having the filling and all that. It works a little different, which I have done, some dessert sausages before, but of course my main claim to fame is classic meat market staples, hot dogs, bolognas, things like that, cured meat sometimes, so.
And I know personally they're all great, that's for sure. One of the things that impresses me, now I'm not knocking some of the traditional guys that started out, in the business without any professional training, but I want to tell you, I am so impressed with the ability of you guys that have gone through culinary training to just put flavors together and different things that no one else would think of. So I just have to, tip my hat to you guys. That's for sure. Very impressive. Let's see. Technical skills or training, whether formal or self-taught, you've already told me, helped you understand meat, fat ratios, and spice interactions. at a deeper level. Now, of course, all of that comes from your, probably most of it comes from your culinary arts school. Is there anything Dad said that really hits home?
Well, it's just know your audience.
Oh, yeah.
If you know your audience, you know what to go, you know what to make for, and the best thing you can hear from a customer is, "This reminds me of home."
Okay, yeah. That, I've probably said that about, and we're not talking about barbecue now, probably in the last 2 weeks, I've probably said it 3 times at other places that I've gone to eat at. Let me ask you, the sausage, is there any wiggle room on that? If you mess up, you got to start over, or what do you got to do?
If you mess up, it could be, it could be an entire batch that you mess up and you got to start over. Of course, it comes down to using the right amount of fat. If you're doing beef, if you're using pork, there's a lot of wiggle room. You can hardly mess up a pork sausage, but putting beef in it, you most certainly can, in my experience of things.
That sounds like maybe you might have messed up at least one batch when you were younger.
Yes, I have. I've messed up a few batches by using the wrong kind of fat, and I learned through mistakes.
What about consistency? That's probably got to be one of the most important things, right?
Of course, you got to nail it right on the mark every time. You don't want to come to a place, have the sausage or something, and then next time you come, that didn't taste right.
Yeah.
And next time you say pass by and you taste it again, and well, that doesn't taste right again. It's about making it right the whole time.
Yeah, every single time. That is I think that's what makes a barbecue place successful, is just 100% consistency. Do you have anything that's like a signature seasoning or something that you do special?
Well, of course, the poblano and pepper jack comes from my heart. It's taste of the Southwest. We use a lot of poblanos. Of course, we use a lot of jalapenos too, but poblanos are definitely a little bit more mild, and definitely the blend of chili peppers I use, dehydrated, of course. That's definitely what I've mainly been focusing on in barbecue.
All right. Well, let me ask you, what was one of the most difficult lessons you learned probably at the beginning of your career, and how did it change the way you operate today?
Well, one of the most difficult lessons is probably going to sound kind of, benign, but do better. That was one thing that everybody I worked with, kind of told me, moving along and getting better, is do better. You know what you're doing. You just got to be confident about it.
How did you do better?
Well, it was just thinking about, okay, well, if I'm doing this right here, planning it out accordingly, knowing how to set up my station, getting faster at that. And of course, that seems trivial, but in the long run, that actually helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
I don't think it sounds trivial. Of course, I have a little bit of background in barbecue or in the field. So, man, it just sounds like you're on that path to 100% success. That's for sure. Well, and with that 100% success, that's what you have achieved here already as far as what you're doing. Like I said, I'm just so impressed with the sausage that you're making. So let me ask you, let's talk about legacy. Years from now, people are going to think back at Sausage Sam. What do you hope they say about your food or your process and how you did it, your contribution to Texas barbecue?
Well, of course, I hopefully, much like my friend Bill, will help change the way that people view the sausage making process and go from it was okay to that was fantastic.
Now, of course, I think I know who you're talking about when you say Bill. Are you talking about the sausage sensei?
Yes, sir, I am.
He is probably a hero of most of us. He is very well known. I think you're going to have to be getting on top of tables and doing elbow smashes on people, and probably wear a mask sometimes. But ladies, he's a lot cuter than Bill. Bill's getting up there close to my age though, so we'll let Bill pass on having to wear a mask every time. But Bill is just an amazing guy. He is a great guy to look up to, and certainly a great person to want to achieve his level of success. We just can't say enough. We as a community, the barbecue community, can't say enough. But I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Sausage Sam is the real deal. He is probably a younger version of Bill Dumas, and I'm not just saying that. His work is outstanding, and you just can't get enough. I mean, you could come here and just eat the sausage, that's for sure. It is a meal in itself, and he's branching out. You do have hot dogs for kids, is that right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Or adults.
Of course. We do have, them in our self-service counter right now. We're looking to maybe expand the menu, who knows. But right now we have 3 different types in our counter. We have our plain, a double cheese with both pepper jack and cheddar cheese, and then of course we have our cheddar dogs.
Wow, that is amazing. So I'm going to ask one more question. Stacy and Ronnie Schuff here at Schuff's Barbecue, they strive for excellence. I will get it out right in a minute. Who's rougher? No, I'm not going to ask you that. I'm not going to ask you that. They both strive for excellence, that's for sure. And I'm not going to ask you a question about it, but I am going to say that's probably why you got hired. And your work definitely proves it. So we want to thank you here at Texas Barbecue for the interview. I can't wait to just watch you grow in the business here and see how things continue to go good for you. All right, Texas Barbecue, Sausage Sam, ladies, he is single, and this is a great guy right here. I want you to know he's always full of knowledge, and you just can't beat that. That's and he's great on customer service too. I just love everything about him. All right, Texas Barbecue, Sausage Sam, Schuff's Barbecue. You guys come by and see him if you like the sausage. Go in ask him to come out front and say hi to you. All right, we'll see y'all next time.